All right, I'd like to call to order the East Long Meadow Public Schools School Committee meeting. It's a regular scheduled meeting. It's September 8th, 2014, 7 p.m. The meeting is being both audio and videotaped. I'll just ask that anyone else in the audience is doing so, just to let us know. Thank you. Perfect. So we're just going to stand for a Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to start with roll call, starting to my left.
Elizabeth Marcy Boucher.
Gregory Thompson.
Rich Ficero.
Deirdre Mayu.
Gordon Smith, Superintendent of Schools.
Bill Fonseca.
Carriola Joyce, Assistant Superintendent for Business. Kathy Saletti, Recording Secretary.
Jack Monahan, Student Rep.
All right. So moving on, we have the approval of the August 11, 2014 regular session meeting minutes.
I move to approve the August 11, 2014 regular session meeting minutes.
Okay, a motion has been made.
Second with discussion.
Okay.
Just one typographical correction. Where I welcomed Becky and I said we will be fine, it was I want to welcome her. It's typed in as I went to welcome her. So we could just change the went to want. Okay. That's asking a lot. Yeah.
So we need to make a motion to amend.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on that? No? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, hearing none, that carries forward 5-0. So now I'll need to go in.
That was 5-0 on the amendment.
Yep.
Yes, 5-0 on the amendment, and then we need to go back and make a motion to, or just
approve the.
No,
we just approve.
Just approve. Yep, approve the minutes as amended.
So moved.
A second.
And seconded. Any further discussion? No. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, that carries forward 5-0. Thank you. That part always trips me up when we have the changes. Yeah. All right, so we have committee and subcommittee communications. Beth, if you'd like to start us off.
I just want to let everybody know, ELEAF is still looking for runners. They've only got 30 for the 21st of September for the 5K. They really want to have some more runners, so if you could just go online to the website, and they would be more than happy to get you going. And we had a great start to the school year, which was good to see. Yeah.
Great. All set, thank you.
Just visit a couple athletic events. It's always great to see the start of the school year and all our student athletes out there in the field. It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
All right, Mr. Fonseca.
Great job at convocation, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Very well, very well received.
It was quick.
Yeah, well, I mean, it moved right along, and that was good.
It did.
And policy subcommittee met recently, and you will see the results of our work tonight.
I can't wait.
I know that. That's why I said it.
And I just wanted to echo Bill's comments about convocation too. I think it was a great day. We had a great time there.
You got a few laughs.
I did get a couple of laughs. Yes.
Yes. Very
Thank you.
innovative.
And I think I know that we've had a great start and everything seems to be going well. So hopefully we'll keep on that track. All right. Anything? Do you want to?
First off, just the new laptops in the schools. We just changed from PCs to Macs. From my perspective, classes have been moving actually much smoother, I think, because our computers are a lot faster. Teachers aren't waiting to load videos. A lot more organized.
Videos that are integrated into the curriculum, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or PowerPoints. Like PowerPoints, I know
I'm just kidding.
were an issue, which is good. And I feel like all the teachers are actually going over very nicely, making the transition. Just secondly is fall athletics. Cross country we start next Tuesday. Football already had a huge win on Friday. Field hockey starts this week. Girls volleyball starts today, and then soccer, girls and boys soccer start this week as well. And then lastly is just that our pep rally is going to be Friday, October 10th. So if that works for you.
You got to write that down, right?
Full school pep rally?
Full school pep rally.
Mr. Martin still the MC?
Yes. Yeah.
That was with an R in the middle.
I got there.
Your accent. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, so moving on, we have 5.2.1, the 2014-2015. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I feel like I haven't done this in so long. Thank you for telling me. This was Next one was the opportunity for visitors to address the committee. When you haven't done this throughout the whole summer, you kind of forget to follow directions, so I apologize. So if anyone is here to address the committee, you can come forward now.
No, I'm just here as your rep from the Board of Selectmen.
Yep. Okay, great. All right, so we can move on to the next one. Now we're ready for 5.2.1, 2014 to 2015 federal and state grants.
Yes, you have in your packet a list of our 2014-15 state grants, and they're pretty much the same ones we get every single year.
These are what they call the entitlement grants.
Correct.
We still have to put in a lot of information, but they're available to all school districts.
Yes, actually, the applications are huge now.
Yeah.
It's all done
Really?
online, but they're like 30 or 40 pages long
So very
of
time-consuming.
information and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So we can go down through them really quickly. We have the special education allocation grant, $17,449, and that pays for a portion of our early childhood liaison at Meadowbrook. We have our IDEA special education grant. This is our big grant, $750,000 that we pay. Mostly we use for tuitions, a few other expenses, but we use for out-of-district tuitions. Title IIA, $48,275, and this is what we use for professional development.
And actually, a good chunk of that this year will be used to help teachers with those new laptops.
Okay.
The first two professional development days, one's a half day, so it's going to be entirely devoted to technology, professional development, and then one is a full day on November 4th, and so a portion of that day, once we see how far we progress on the October 10th half day. So, very timely with your announcement there, Jack.
There we go.
The Title I grant is an entitlement, $213,644, and this year we were able to include Meadowbrook School as one of our schools. We didn't get more money, but we are now able to include them. And this grant has to do with free and reduced lunch at the school. So it's used for an intervention. We're using it for the .5 interventionist at Meadowbrook, and we use it for the paraprofessionals at Mapleshade, 2.8 paraprofessionals, and we use it for reading specialists. At,
Terry, does Meadowbrook now qualify for Title I?
yes,
Is
they
that
are
what-
now qualifying for Title I.
Different from last year.
Yes,
Right.
yes. This is the
But
first
the
year.
dollar amount hasn't changed.
The dollar amount.
We just have to stretch it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we have to
distribute
stretch
it over
But it's
more,
nice
right?
that we can use it for them too,
Right.
you know.
They have to qualify to be able to use it.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Yep.
Although there is a portion that can be used as district-wide professional development, so we use part of it as district-wide professional development. But there's big formulas that Val has been working with that, you know, there has to be so much used for this purpose and, you know, for the
Oh, wow.
three schools that are entitled to it, and then a certain portion can be used for professional development.
Title I was one of our coordinated program reviews last year, and when we went through that, it was a great. It's rare that you can say we had a coordinated program review and it was a great experience,
Right.
but this one actually was. It was when, I don't know if you remember, we invited the individual to come with us on a learning walk, and so not only did he do that, and he was interested in how we were supporting literacy and our literacy programs really throughout the school system. He also started to look in and say, you know, if you provide us this information, we probably can expand and open it up to Meadowbrook. So it was very helpful from that standpoint because we had not gotten that kind of information in previous years.
Sure.
I listed this as a separate grant, but we were able to carry over money from our prior Title Is, so it's now entitled Title I FY14 Year 2. It's a new process that the grants management is doing now, so, and we are using a good portion of this for the tech lead teachers, I mean, so it doesn't even eat into, you know, last year, this new year grant, so
Right.
that's
Will that be
helpful.
there next year, though?
Well, if we have money left over
You
at
can
the end
roll
of
it
the year,
over.
we can roll it over
Yeah.
again.
You just
So
have
that's
to, you have
new.
to amend it.
Right.
With Meadowbrook being added, will
Yeah,
it be there
yes.
necessarily or no?
Will we have spent the money?
basically.
Right.
It depends. Some years it gets all spent early, and other years, we're at the end of the year and things didn't cost as much as we thought they
Okay.
might. So, we have some money left over, so
Right.
instead of rushing to try to spend it,
Yep.
you're allowed now to carry it forward.
That's good.
Yeah.
And the rolled over amount still, the rules still apply to what you can use it towards. It still has
Yes.
to be
Oh, yes.
what it falls under.
Yeah.
That may be able to be, because there's some that you can use for professional development for the entire district.
Oh, okay.
And so that's where that might be able to be dedicated to some of our professional development around technology.
And then the state grants, we have the METCO program, which supports our program with staffing, supplies, and transportation costs. The full-day kindergarten is $54,260, and that supports our full-day kindergarten program, pays for 4 of the paraprofessional salaries for our classrooms. And the Essential School Health Services grant, $77,900, and this includes portions of nursing salary, health aide salary, and substitutes per diem nurses. And we also have a partner school district that it pays for certain items for that school. And that grant we've been getting for a number of years as well. It's not really an entitlement grant, but that's through the Department of Public Health.
It's been going down though, last few
Yeah.
years, right?
It's been 77.9 now for a couple of years,
Okay.
but it used to be above that, yes.
Yeah, I thought it was closer to 100 at one point.
Yeah, it was at
Yeah.
one point. And then this other grant is listed, this is a grant that Ludlow actually gets, but we are part of that grant, and it deals with early childhood teacher at Meadowbrook. We get a portion of that paid for, and I think they also assist some families in getting some daycare and that kind of thing. We used to manage that grant, and then now Ludlow manages it, and we just get a part of it.
We
So-
still have paras in all of the kindergarten classes?
We do.
We do.
This pays for 4 of them, but
That's correct.
there's 7 or 8
There's 7 classrooms this year.
kindergarten. Do we take that
There's
extra
6
class?
full day, we may
And
have
2
8 with the.
2 half days?
No, we have 1 half day, so I'm gonna say there's 7,
Okay.
plus the 1 half day, morning and
Okay.
afternoon.
Right, right.
Each class is a para?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
yeah,
At least 1,
Right, okay.
right.
right. So this is the list of grants, and we're looking to have you accept these grants this year.
Okay,
I
so would
make
someone like to
make
make
a
a
motion to
motion?
accept our 2014-2015 federal and state grants as presented by our Assistant Superintendent for Business.
Nice, motion made
Second.
and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, that carries forward 5-0.
Nice snapshot, Terry.
That was very nice, yeah. You're gonna miss that. All right, moving on to 5.2.2, the 2014 to 2015 agreement between the Recreation Department and East Long Meadow Public Schools.
Yes, this is another yearly agreement that we sign. This agreement is between the school committee, the rec department, and the board of selectmen, and it starts here every year. This helps to pay for the costs of the recreation department using our facilities, particularly, the school buildings, and paying for custodians to stay late or to be there on the weekends. It can pay for cleaning materials, custodial paper materials, and sometimes pool materials, such as chlorine and that kind of thing. So it does start here. The Recreation Department transfers $24,000 to our revolving account, and we
They
use
do it,
that.
2 times, right? 12,000 and then 12,000?
Historically, it's been 12,000 and 12,000, yes.
I remember negotiating that back when I was a principal. That price hasn't changed in years.
No, it has not. Some years it
But-
works better than other years.
Okay, so it works,
Okay.
okay.
But the agreement has changed.
I was just gonna ask that, if there been any changes.
There's some
to the
new
agreement.
language in this.
This is exactly the way it was last
Yeah.
year.
Oh, is there really? Yeah.
Some of the things, Mr. Fitzgerald, just to point out, rec does pick up most of the Sani cans. I think we
Oh,
pick
yes.
up 1 or
Right.
2, they pick up a good number of them, because they're using fields on weekends and so
Right.
forth, but they obviously benefit us as well.
Right.
I think they pick up most of the paint, or supply DPW with the paint for lining all the fields, so with the exception of obviously the stadium field. So there's.
It works out.
Yeah, it does work
Yeah.
out.
So we itemized last year? all the hours and supplies? We did?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so,
So I'll move to approve the agreement for 2014-2015 between Recreation Department and the East Long Meadow Public Schools.
I'll second it.
motion made, seconded by Mr. Chero. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, hearing none, that carries forward 5-0.
So at the end of the meeting, we'll just need you to sign Kathy's so that we can send it on to
Okay.
Board of Selectmen and Rec as well.
Sounds good. Okay, so moving on, our 6.1, discussion of district participation in MCAS and or PARCC assessment.
Okay, this is a continuation
Yes.
of our discussion. We've had a few discussions on this. Just to refresh everyone's memory, at the end of the school year, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education was looking for any early adopters, as they termed it, for this coming school year, the one we're in, to select either PARCC in some shape or form. You could do it all the way through your grades, you could do it online, you could do it paper and pencil. You had a number of ways you could make that choice, and or MCAS. And you didn't have to be an early adopter, but if you were going to be an early adopter, that had to be done by June 30th. I think roughly 75% of the districts in Massachusetts did put in a decision by June 30th, and according to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, roughly of that 75%, roughly 60% chose PARCC in some semblance or another. I don't think they got as high a percentage as they wanted to take it online, but they came up, I think in our last discussion, I talked a little bit about the district readiness tool that they're provided districts, and we had to pump in a lot of information around our technology infrastructure, equipment that we have, talking about some of the new equipment we were getting. And even with all of that, I think I said 64%, but we're actually up around 69% according to this instrument in terms of readiness across the district to take it online. And the recommendation from the department is that if your students are not used to, on pretty much a regular basis, taking things online, then don't vote that way. Take the paper and pencil. You can still do that and then work towards it. So with all of that information, we did discuss it with the leadership team again, and the recommendation continues to be that the leadership team feels, since the graduation requirement is still there through this current freshman class for MCAS, that we stay MCAS grades 9 and 10, and we look at the PARCC and utilize the PARCC paper and pencil exam in grades 3 through 8 this year.
Even at 69%, we're not there to do it online.
No, but this year I think we're going to start to move toward getting our students more prepared. And so as we continue with technology renewal, the next step, the first step was we needed to make sure our teachers had more current technology and then had the training to use that technology well. Then the next step will be to continue to take aging labs, renew those with mobile labs.
So in theory, at some point will the PARCC perhaps online?
Whatever the assessment may be, we'll be
Assessment.
ready to do it online.
In a couple of years.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be even better at the end of this year, because
Okay.
the goal will be this year, as we continue to develop our common assessments, if we can get them to be taken online, and
Yep.
we have a, I don't know, software package. Edwin, would you call it a software package or
Those are common assessments?
No, Edwin's a place where you can store all your common assessments.
Okay.
And so it's more than a software, it's probably a database
Yeah.
that we would interface with. And if we can, as we develop these, if we can place them into Edwin,
Yep.
then we can have our students take them online, and our reports and our data is now housed in Edwin, and we can break it out much faster.
That'll be this year.
In some cases, this year.
Okay.
I don't think that's
Moving
going to go.
towards it.
Right, that's what we're moving towards.
With
couple things have to happen and have to happen well. We have to have a really good, successful interface with the Department of Education in terms of all our state reporting. Because if that interfaces well and we have very few errors, then Edwin can happen and we can populate Edwin with that, basically the same information. Because it's student information, it's class information, so you can get your classes set up. And so they know if it's my class, okay, Gordon Smith's A block class, these are his students, here's the type of assessment he's loaded up. So when the students go, they can connect with it and it's all synchronized.
So we're already subscribing to Edwin.
We did it through Race the Top funds originally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And as that grant goes away, supposedly the cost is going to be cost effective.
Than our operating budget.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It would
So-
be more cost effective than, say, we've also used Atlas software for curriculum mapping. We'd like to move out of Atlas and hopefully have Edwin
As your
take
partner.
over. Right.
So the leadership's recommendation is MCAS 9 through 10, PARCC paper for all of their.
3-3.
3-3.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm just gonna say my one thing and I'll be done. Y'all know how I feel about it at this point. I feel it's major federal government overreach. I think we need to be very careful. I think that they should not practice on our children. And just to let y'all know, they have 10,000 questions that they have yet to assess from last year's practice to create the exam for the spring.
From PARCC.
For PARCC. That's all I'm saying.
Pearson Assessment is the
Yes.
company that's helping
Early fall
develop
is when
PARCC.
they're gonna start assessing what the students did last year, the information we never got, and we're not allowed to have.
Okay.
They will assess the 10,000 questions, what are good questions, what are bad questions, based on what students got. I just don't think they're ready.
Will we get that
Said
next
what I
year
said.
though? From the PARCC?
They will, after this year is finished, what they're saying is that we will get the same type of results we always get with MCAS. So the same breakout, the same type of reporting
Okay.
is what we should get with
It's like
PARCC.
levels, isn't it? Like, it's
Right.
more of a level thing than,
So last year, we don't have any results from PARCC.
Anyone who took the pilot in
Yeah,
PARCC,
the pilot.
we won't have.
But
results.
next year,
If you take
we
it
would
this year.
get similar results
Right.
from MCAS as we would from results in terms of
Right.
data.
Right. So you're gonna get your individual student data, and you're gonna get your school data, and you're gonna get your district data.
But is that useful though?
What's that?
I mean, it's gonna be very hard to compare what the students did last year, and however, we don't even know what the MCAS scores. I know you've got preliminary, but we don't even know what the MCAS scores. To be able to take that information and the new PARCC information and meld it into something that's useful.
Okay.
There's a paragraph this long of how they're gonna do it. I didn't understand it.
Yeah,
It was
it's-
like reading foreign language.
That's the start of their crosswalk of
So,
how
so
you-
if we had MCAS data from this year
Mhm.
and MCAS data from, well, last year and this year, could we compare them versus PARCC data from last year and PARCC data from this year, which we can't compare, right? That's what you're saying?
Right.
Right, because we can't see last year's
we won't,
PARCC.
yeah, we won't see last year's data from the
I mean, and the MCAS just got to the point, don't get me wrong, I was never a fan of MCAS to begin with. I understand why we do it.
Right.
I understand the importance of it. And I feel that the MCAS just got to the point where they're comparing apples to apples. Students in one year with students of the same year. And they've just started doing that over the
Right.
last couple of years. And now, so, but I've said,
Basically,
you
you
all know how
want
I
to
feel, so
look
I'm
at
just-
the same, when you're looking at that type of analysis, you want to look at a cohort and see how that cohort is done all the way through,
So
which is
would
what
we would we be
Fine,
able to
yeah.
do that better with MCAS compared to MCAS though? And so
You-
why
you
is
certainly will
leadership
have
not
the-
recommending?
You will have the
that?
history on the
Yeah,
MCAS
right.
side, but at some point, we're going to be switching to a new assessment. And the new assessment is going to look much more like the PARCC assessment
Right.
than what the MCAS currently is structured.
So at some point, we
How
need to
they-
I
make
think
that
there is
change.
gonna be a transition
Right.
at some point.
So,
Yeah.
Just don't know
what
the
the
exact
Department of
test.
Education
Right.
is saying is that they're gonna vote in October of 2015 to decide for the state which direction they're going. Is it gonna be PARCC, or is it gonna be something else that's similar to PARCC? Because the entire state has worked since basically 2010 to start to align to these new standards.
If they
Common
do
Core?
Yeah.
something other than PARCC,
It-
would they just do the MCAS for a couple of years till they figure it out?
Let's just say, are we gonna be in the same
Are
predicament
they
next
gonna
year?
just,
I would hope not. basically what they're saying is that there will be a new form of assessment that will be based on the new Common Core state standards and similar to how PARCC is assessing with where the skill sets are. Basically, if you look at the literacy standards for Common Core, you're seeing similar type skills being mentioned throughout the grades, but what students can do with that skill changes. And it goes further into depth as the student becomes more mature and goes up through the grade levels.
Now, they've already started, you're saying, readjusting even through the last couple of years, even
Right.
the MCAS question.
MCAS started to
reflect more of a PARCC feel. Or
Not so much a
the
PARCC.
ideal of
Core.
how you learn it, I
Common
should
Core.
say.
Yeah,
Core.
more the
Common Core, I'm sorry.
Because remember, Massachusetts made major revisions in 2011 with their literacy and math standards, and then they started to incorporate that into the MCAS. So they've been making changes, but to do a full alignment, they feel they have to go to a new assessment.
So do you and the leadership team believe that the future will be closer to PARCC than MCAS?
Yes.
And how do you feel about if they don't use the PARCC? I mean,
Be closer
do you
to
think?
PARCC than
Unfortunately,
I know, but do you think
yeah,
that they'll
unfortunately,
just
then,
use
you know,
the MCAS
hopefully
for a
they'll
couple
have
years?
thoughts of what they're developing in terms of that next generation of, what they're calling is sort of the next generation of
Now, there's that other
assessment.
test, would they go to that?
There's another test out there. I don't know that Massachusetts has looked at it.
Okay.
All right, so we obviously have to take a vote on this tonight because we're reaching that other deadline.
Right, the next
So,
deadline is
um,
October
I
1st.
make a motion that we follow the leadership team's recommendation and choose MCAS for grades 9 and 10 and PARCC for grades 3 through 8, paper and pencil.
Great, so a motion has been made
I'll second.
and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Okay, and that still carries forward 4-1. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna, so we can put that off the checklist now. And
Yeah.
Well, not yet. I still have to go into the Department of Education portal and report all of it.
Okay.
So-
All right, so we're moving on to 7.1. We have a Meadowbrook kindergarten field trip to Pell Farms, Somers, Connecticut during month of October.
Right, so this connects, it's a trip that they've done the last few years, and probably actually for longer than just the last few years. But it culminates their science unit where they're looking at how things grow, reproduce, what requires food, air, water, and then they go out to Pell Farm and they look at the pumpkin patch, which is very timely because it's right in the October timeframe and Halloween's coming up. You have the entire kindergarten going, so you're talking about 166 students. And what they would do is, Mr. Thompson had just mentioned, you have a para and a teacher for each classroom, and then they also usually bring per class up to 4 volunteers.
Okay.
So they have a number of chaperones going.
I got to do this last year with my kindergartner.
Did you enjoy it?
I did. I always have a lot of fun with the
So
kids on the
all the
trip.
kindergarten,
All the
classes-
kindergarten classes are going. They're gonna go over
Yeah,
2 days. I
visits,
believe.
I am-
Yeah.
Well, they have a rain date.
Well, it's a rain date.
No, they
I
have a
think it's
rain
all in
date
one
and
day.
the Tuesday date.
October
you're right.
7th is
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll all go on, I'm sorry, yeah, it's Tuesday
great.
is the hopeful date, Wednesday is the rain date.
Okay, so-
I'll move to approve the Meadowbrook kindergarten field trip to Pell Farms, Somers, Connecticut, October 7th.
Great, motion's made
I'll second.
and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, that carries forward 5-0. All right, so now we're coming on to some policies.
Now the fun
Yes.
begins.
So if you'd like to start us off,
Mr.
yeah?
Pacheco's favorite part. Okay, well, so we gave you in your packet sort of a new look, if you will. You have some of the policies that, in each case, you have the MASC recommended policy. You have our original policy, in some cases with some of my notes from the actual subcommittee meeting. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Hopefully that was somewhat clear as you were reading through. And then you have the final recommendation from the committee. So if we look at, I think the first one up is file JH, which is student absences and excuses. In your packet, you have our original policy, I believe, at the end.
Right.
Right.
Okay. And it's somewhat succinct, that's a good word, thank you. I was
Yeah.
looking for a word. And you know that recently, with all the regulatory changes around student discipline and student absenteeism, the Department of Education is looking for much different protocol around suspension and around notification to parents around students being absent. So we actually, as a subcommittee, the policy subcommittee, are looking to amend our policy, and we added at the bottom there the student absent notification programs. Everybody see where that is? That actually is already, you as a committee have already voted that in, because that was part of the code of conduct changes.
Exactly.
So this really takes this policy and makes sure that it's aligned with the code of conduct.
Excellent.
And then the second page is actually something new, and that's, it says dropout prevention. Everybody see that?
Yep.
We also voted to accept that, and luckily we had gotten this from MASC in late August, so I was able to give it to the high school. And the practices of notifying students after a series of absences is not new to the high school. The timeline is a little bit new. And so high school administration met with guidance, and they are moving towards this timeline. So they started the school year with this timeline in place where, you know, you have the 10 consecutive days, because I think previously it had been 15 consecutive days.
Yeah.
So we were able to start the year with this in mind. So the recommendation is that the policy now just be updated so it's meeting the practice. And there was, on the second page, I know that Mrs. Marjan Boucher wanted to talk about one sentence in there with one specific word, I believe.
It's the phrase exit interview, and it's actually here a couple times. I was wondering maybe if we, instead of exit, because we don't really want the kids to exit. And
Right.
when you finally get to the point of the superintendent, I was thinking about the word I was trying to come up with, and I was wondering if like an intervention interview might be better. So, I mean, you're not saying they're staying, you're not saying they're going, but you're gonna try to intervene
Right.
to try to keep the student within the school system as best as possible.
Right.
Something, a word like that
Why
might
don't
be
we just
better.
take the word out, Ms.
Yeah, for an
But just say for an
Yeah.
interview.
Yep, that would, because it says it a couple times.
Yeah,
There's like
just-
3 times that it
Yeah.
states it in here.
Just remove the word exit.
That just seems so
your
final,
point.
like
No,
we're
your
done
point.
with it.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, and I was
Okay.
wondering why it was underlined.
And I was
figured
trying to
we'd get
find
an
the word to
explanation.
replace, but just removing it is even better.
Well, we went round and round trying to figure out a word, and everybody just kind of sat there and stared at each other.
Right.
Because of the point, because it's
Yeah.
it's hard
Trying
to
too
find a
hard, I
word
guess.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
to
So
get
it's
to
in
get
the-
there, so.
Center the first paragraph, and then it's twice.
Yes, you have
It's
the
in the
notion
bottom
of
paragraph.
contact of a scheduling the interview and shall include the parties, yeah, take it out there.
Yeah, it's actually twice. It's in the 1,
Right.
2, 3, 4,
That's
5.
several times.
The 5th line,
Yeah.
6th,
Right.
8th line, and then
Right.
the first line of the 3rd paragraph.
Okay.
So, Mr. Smith, to kind of capsulize this,
Mhm.
the student absence notification program on page 1 has already been approved through our code of conduct.
Yes, it has.
And the high school has already put into place this dropout prevention.
Yes.
And we're gonna take out the word exit per the discussion right now.
Yes, if the committee chooses, we can
So
revise
this
that.
policy though is relevant to all grade levels, correct? If we approve the policy,
Yes, then.
it's not just the high
Oh.
school.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So,
for the most part, we see most of these cases at the high school.
and I get that, so my point though is, when I was in 3rd grade, we took a trip of a lifetime, and I was out of school for more than 5 days. And to say that we are gonna do some sort of intervention or have parents come in if some students is out for more than 5 days,
See, that's,
Well,
the
that's
key is the
excused.
communication.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not so much that you have to,
what we call excused absences, right?
Well, there is also
Right.
for excused for exceptional reasons.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
So the
But a
administrators
vacation
still,
is not in here as excused absence.
generally, right, you're right, we.
But, so I'm saying,
tend to.
my thought is always, let's do what we say and say what we do.
Mhm.
And if we are going to have a meeting with parents who take their children out of school for more than 5 days, then we're gonna do that. If we're not gonna do that because,
And we actually do that.
so, but if, so in 3rd grade, when I left for 10 days, so I
Right.
was out of school for 8 days,
Right.
8 out of, it was the weekend. So we would require a parent to come in.
Generally, the parents, when we've seen that now, there
Yep.
actually is a form that parents can fill out and indicate that they might be missing school based on an extended vacation. And so that opens up communication between the principal, if it's at the lower grades,
Right.
principal, and the student's family. And so they do have this communication.
But it doesn't say that in here, I guess is my point. It says if they miss 5 days, then there has to be a meeting with the principal. So I guess what I'm asking is, if we don't always ask for a meeting with the principal for more than 5 days, then can we amend the policy to state that? I understand the high school issue, I do,
Sure.
I get that, but
I'm sorry, you're talking about the
Yeah, I was
student
wondering where you would be
notification?
reading.
the student absence and excuses, JH.
Yeah, but
Okay,
you're talking
so-
first page.
You're talking first page.
First page, correct.
We are on dropout prevention.
Right, has missed 5 or more
Oh, so you're
unexcused
under
school
student
days.
absence, okay.
Unexcused school days do not include vacation. But sometimes it happens. So I'm just saying, we need to do what we say and say what we do. So if a student misses more than 5 days, are we truly gonna have them come in for a meeting with the principal? Or if someone goes on a vacation, that
Well, I
is one of
think-
those
yeah,
10-day
I think
vacations?
similar-
Wouldn't the meeting be
Third-
before they went then anyways?
Oh, but what is policy about that? Look at the third sentence, great. A child may also be excused for other exceptional reasons with approval of the principal.
Right.
So you're just meeting
It's
with
the
the
communication up front.
Before fill out the form, that's an exceptional
Okay.
reason. Yeah,
Right.
so it's there.
I guess, but it's not a, so,
So the third sentence would be-
but an excused absence does not specifically state a vacation, though. It only states illness and,
But that third sentence gives the principal the right to excuse it for exceptional reasons, such as the
Right.
example you're giving right now. I remember one time when I was principal, there was this major soccer trip to England, and for about 5 or 6 freshmen, and I said, that for me was an exceptional reason.
More than 5
And I
days.
excused it, and I excused it, yeah.
more than 5 days.
Yeah, and I excused it because it was a wonderful.
And when I can certainly, I can take this back to the leadership team and make sure that they're understanding that. But that
Right.
generally, I think the underlying goal here is the communication, the upfront communication. If-
Which I agree with.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
just, but my point is this, in paragraph 2, it's illness or quarantine, behavioral serious illness, whether, nowhere does it say something else.
Right.
Right.
And so, or other, but I see what you're saying, Mr. Fitzgerald, in.
They may also,
Right.
May also,
may
yeah.
be excused.
Okay,
So I think it
as long as that's understood.
Yeah.
It is, and I think you're right, though. The tone of these type of policies center on that, we'd like you to take vacations during the time when
Right.
there's
Right.
vacation.
Right.
So you're right, there's a underlying tone there around that, but to Mr. Ficero's point, it still gives discretion to the principal.
Okay.
And the key is the communication up front. And-
Okay.
And most of our parents are fantastic about contacting, they do it months in
Right.
advance.
Right.
They say, listen, we have
Rightfully
this,
so.
just like you said, we have this chance of a lifetime to go here, here, and here, and our schools meet them with that.
Okay.
But to Mr. Thompson's point, I think what you said was this would be a good discussion item for a leadership team.
Absolutely.
Just
Okay.
to kind of reinforce that
Just
third
to-
sentence.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's fine. And I just want, are all of these first readings tonight
Well,
on our
I think-
policies?
They can be.
Should we keep them all together and just,
I think we should move on to the ones we can move on, especially with the high schools already began the dropout prevention.
You do have some
Well, I
of this already in the code of conduct.
Right,
so-
exactly, yeah.
but that one's, dropout prevention's part of JH.
Mhm.
Right.
So are they, what do you want to, should we vote on JH tonight and,
I think we should vote on each one as they come up, if we can. I think we can vote on JH.
Can we vote on JH pending, and just say, have a conversations with
Pending with
the
the leadership team.
leadership team?
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, maybe we just ought to hold off on it.
That's what I'm saying, if
And
you
just
have to do
table
that.
it, and wait until our next meeting so that we hear what the leadership.
So keep it a first reading?
Keep this one, particular one
okay,
as a
just the
first reading.
JH will be a first reading.
Okay.
We
Just
wanna
so that
bring
we're
it back
clear
to
on everything.
Rich.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes?
Okay.
Excellent.
So that's, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so the second policy is the one entitled Student Discipline. And this now goes through all of that information from the regulatory changes. And if you remember, we made some pretty sweeping changes, if you will, to the code of conduct in terms of how we now have to alert families of a potential suspension,
Right.
how then we also have to go through due process, and what the final decision has to look like in terms of communication with the parents. And so this, again, is capturing all of that was in the code of conduct. This is, I think, the top part there where you see my notes about adopt. This is MASC's model policy. Because if you look, if you go leaf to the back or scroll to the back on your digital copy, ours, again, our original one is very succinct and doesn't reflect the new regulatory changes.
Now, once again, these are all ready in our code of conduct.
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Fonseca, Mr. Marcia, about you didn't see any major changes with what was already in the code of conduct? No?
No, because it was, as Gordon just said, the MASC model policy was much more broad than ours.
Yeah, okay.
So it covers all the areas.
Okay.
I mean, this one was relatively easy.
So this is it's an alignment issue then? Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
And we've actually already done the professional development around what a long-term suspension hearing looks like, what a short-term suspension hearing looks like. That's something we started in last spring and we finished up with our summer meetings.
Okay. So then, if you want, do you want to make a motion on this one tonight to accept it?
I think we can.
Yeah.
Because it was just,
Then I'll move that we accept policy JIC, student discipline.
excuse me, motion made
I'll second.
and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, that carries forward 5-0. Okay, continuing with our policies.
Thank you. Next one is JII, and I believe the first one that you have as you scroll is the MASC model policy. And this one actually just has a few sentences here and there that they've changed or tweaked a little bit. Our original one, we actually liked how our paragraphs were broken out. And so the policy subcommittee, I think the final one where it has red writing, does everybody see that? Is where we made some changes on our original one. So in the second paragraph, where it says the traditional open door policy, the changes are around guardians who believe that a student has received unfair treatment may bring forward their grievance. Appeals of individual disciplinary cases will be required to follow the district's policy on student discipline. So it's just changing how that is worded. And then in the third paragraph there, you see in red the word procedures, and if a policy needs to be approved or changed. So it's very minimal changes on this one. I don't know if there are questions on that. It's just basically making sure that we have a policy that is current with the regulations and that students and parents know that they can bring questions and grievances forward in the disciplinary process.
The only one thing that bothered me just a little bit was that if the students have a grievance, the last sentence basically says that no more than 6 student reps will be permitted to participate with the principal, staff members, or school committee members. Do we want to limit the number of students? Has there ever been, that many students? And if there wanted to be a room full of students, would that be more impactful on our part, knowing that they would?
A room full of people is always more impactful.
Well, I know that. I guess I kind of felt like if we had students that were so moved by something.
I mean, you certainly don't have to limit it. That actually was from the original policy whenever this was adopted.
I was thinking about that afterwards, and I figured, well, it's something we should all maybe, if it matters, I
don't know if that was in reaction to something that happened at some point. Certainly you have, in smaller groups, you have an easier time to maintain
could we do like no more than
rational discussion where everybody is involved.
I suppose when you say student representatives, it means the ones that would come up and sit at the table, but they should all be able to enter the room if they want, because it's a public hearing and, all right. And so long as we're respectful of that. When it comes to, if there's ever that, if there's more than 6
Yeah, I think at any point,
you know.
the room could be full.
I can see limiting adults, staff members, and school committee members, but not limiting our students, With all due respect to adults, staff members.
Well, we like that, and if something comes up, we can always look back and say, you know what, now we see why.
Now we know what you're talking about. All right. Okay.
So I'll move to approve policy JII, student complaints and grievances.
All right, motion's been made.
I'll second it.
And been seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, hearing that carries forward 5-0.
Moving right along. Our next one, the model policy is called student conduct, and actually that's a slight change. Our original policy said student discipline, and the policy subcommittee liked the idea of calling it student conduct. You know, it wasn't necessarily centered solely on the disciplinary process. And then there were very few changes, other than the regulatory changes at the end. I think the one, if everybody scrolls to the one that has a red print, student conduct, so it's the title of the policy, and then school committee was a change, and then making sure we updated the regulations at the bottom.
Very simple
Very
changes.
simple.
Yes.
Just the title and school committee. Okay.
Okay, so want to vote on that one?
Yep.
So make a motion, please.
I move to accept policy JK, student conduct.
Okay, motion's been made
Second.
and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, that carries forward 5-0. Okay, so we're done with the policies for now.
I have to, I mean, I know I kid about it, but I have
I
to
know.
commend Beth and Bill for
I know.
doing this. I mean,
I know.
really, that's, really, no,
It's a lot of
I just couldn't.
We know that.
You
We
flip
have
through them, yeah, you
have
flip
fun.
through, and then you see other things, you're,
Yeah,
I was about to say, do you feel like you know
Yeah,
them
that's
all
right,
now?
yeah,
Well,
We have a good time.
yeah,
Yeah.
we do.
Oh, come on.
Policy nerds.
Policy.
I just hit Gordon with another one for the future, guys.
I just think then by the
This
time
isn't-
we're done, it's gonna be time to
It'll be
start
time-
all over
yeah.
again.
We're gonna have to do
so-
some legwork on that one first.
Yeah, first, yeah, but I'm saying there's always something, so.
Yeah.
There is.
There
always
is, it's
something.
always changing.
So it's good to have multiple sets of eyes on it.
Right.
No, I agree.
All right, so we have 7.6, discussion of a term start date for new school committee members.
Okay, this idea kind of came to me because I've been just looking around and seeing what other districts are doing. And I actually got the idea because Hampden Wilbraham is thinking of doing the same thing. And Wilbraham actually went to their town meeting and had it approved where new school committee members will now start on June 3rd, or July 1st, where the terms will end in June, as opposed to their terms used to end early May. And the reasons that I came up with this are, and you know, it's kind of hitting me in the face, because in April, right after town election, you get a new member, our budget isn't done, our capital plan isn't done. District data, we're still compiling district data for SMART goals.
Right.
And the summative evaluation that's due in June. I mean, it's very difficult, I feel, for a new member to sit here in April and get up to speed with so much data that's still coming at
Makes good
us.
sense. No, you're
And
right.
that's where I came up with the
I
idea.
like the idea.
All right, I met with Tom Florence last Friday, and what you have in front of you is a copy of the bylaws. All right,
This sheet here.
4.1?
4.100, and the change that we would have to make is quite simple. It currently reads, "The school committee shall consist of 5 members whose terms shall be 3 years each, 1 elected in 1 year, 2 elected in each of the next succeeding years." The language that would have to be added with terms expiring June 30th.
That's all?
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
But does that create the need for an additional town election?
No,
So we get elected in April, but you wouldn't start until July 1st?
correct.
Right.
There's a lot of towns that do it. I mean, Springfield, even though they're a city, they have their elections in November. They get sworn in January.
So that member could attend meetings?
Correct.
But they would not be able to vote or anything until July 1st?
Correct.
Oh,
They
okay.
could attend meetings, meet with Gordon. MASC offers the majority of their charting the course programs in the spring.
Spring.
Right.
Get that out of the way. That's gonna help bring a new member up to speed.
Mr. Fonseca, just a question.
Sure.
Letter A. It
Yes.
doesn't say that in any way that we have to make the change in April, does it? I mean, do we have,
You mean vote?
in other words, what I'm
Oh,
asking
I
is
see what you're
it doesn't say that we have to make a change in April.
Yeah, but past practice.
Past practice.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So, because every other
Typically,
board,
when there's an election.
when there's
that's
an
when it
election.
changes.
So the only way that we could do this is to specify dates.
That's a change in charter.
No, it's not. It's only a change in the bylaws.
Okay.
Now, the other thing is, so we would, obviously, we wouldn't be, and I don't know if this is in a policy or something somewhere along the line, we can't change the chair, the vice chair, and all that is until July 1st.
Correct.
And that would all.
That would
makes
be,
sense, though.
that would be,
Yeah, it really
organized, it
does.
does.
It really
okay,
does.
it would be we would have to change our policy to reflect this after, because what we would do is submit a warrant, an article for the warrant, and if we get it in by the 15th, it could actually be for the October special town meeting.
Okay.
And it's a simple vote of whoever attends. There's no charter change. It's simple, we're simply amending the bylaw to reflect terms ending June 30th.
That does make, because I remember when I started.
I remember when I
It was
started too.
chaos.
It is.
It's like, what
Remember,
are
you
we
got
doing?
chair, and you do the midterm evaluation for, and then the new chair also has to catch up and do the
Right.
summer, a month later, so yeah, I like it.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
So can you make it happen, Mr. Fonseca?
Well, so
I think
my
you need
hesitation though is though we're talking about this special town meeting and I'm a big proponent of regular town meeting versus special town meeting and voices of the people. And I think we have a better turnout for regular town meeting than we do special town meeting. So I would be in favor of perhaps putting it on the regular town meeting versus special town meeting, only because this isn't necessarily an issue that, for me,
Dire need of changing.
is in dire need, right, correct. So,
And it's before.
that's my thought.
Oh, it's after.
It's after.
No, it's after the, it's
So it would
usually
affect a lot,
May,
it would
right?
affect next
So it
year.
would be another year out, I understand that, but, you know, and it's just my opinion, you know, one of 5 of us that, you know, special town meeting is for special issues, regular town meeting is for issues like this, where people are
I just
more
brought the idea, I
educated.
mean, whatever.
I don't disagree with the idea,
Just the timing.
just the time, you know,
Right.
that's just the thought.
I think you'd be surprised, I say go for it. I say go for it in October, that's what I say. I think it's a great idea, and the town's invited to town meetings, and it's their choice whether they attend a regular or special or both, so I say go for it.
I guess I understand where you're coming, but I think I'm okay with it only because it doesn't really affect the core value of what we do.
I think it makes us better, I think it makes us
It
better.
does, it will make us better in the long run.
Yeah,
Because the biggest thing about us is consistency.
right.
Because of everything that happens after April. It's not like our business stops after April. We just get busier. You know, it's
Right.
just, you know.
Yeah, it is true.
And again, Greg, I appreciate your comment also, but Beth, I agree with you too, that I don't think this is something really major.
Right.
Affects us more than it
Then-
affects.
Well,
Well,
but
it's
isn't-
only gonna
It
affect
is a
us.
change in town government. I mean, it does
Yeah.
change. So
Right.
if somebody wants to change in committee, and the makeup of a committee, it postpones that. So it's a change in town government for me. So, I've said my piece, but I think regular town meeting more so than special town meeting.
We were in a straw vote, I mean, I was with Rex
Well,
there.
I think that we would need, because in order to go forward with this, if we do it as a committee, we do not need a petition. All right, I've been in contact with both Tom Florence and Nick Rowe. If we do it as a committee, we do not need a petition. If I was to do it as an individual, I gotta go get 100
Right,
signatures as a
Okay,
petition.
so we have to vote on this then?
I think that's the proper way to do it.
Okay.
If we wanna go forward with, I'll finish up the work, I'll get it in by the 15th, and it would go on the October warrant.
But we have to take a vote, because we do have one, correct, that.
And I respect everybody's
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah,
believe me.
Yeah.
But we should vote, though.
And I'm not on principle, I'm more on timing and.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
I understand.
Well, I make a motion that we have Mr. Fonseca prepare a new term start date for the special town meeting, October 27th.
Okay, motion's made
I'll second.
and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Okay, and that's 4-1, sorry. So carries forward.
Thanks for doing that, Bill.
Yeah, Bill, thank you.
It's
Very
not really
interesting.
all that much work, it was just doing a little bit of research, and I'll, try to get together with Gordon, and we'll finish it off, and we'll get it in.
Okay. Well, I just want to again say, Jack, want to
Great
thank
to have you.
you.
Yeah.
Great
Love
to have
student
you.
reps.
You gonna come back, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we always ask.
Dig
our-
into some policy.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll get you involved, right? We'll start asking you some questions, so
Sounds
it's
good.
fine. Okay, so with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion made
Second.
and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Me.
I know you do all
Yeah.
the time, but it still
I
carries
like our
forward.
meetings.
Thank you. And with that, everyone, have a great night.
Yeah,
Enjoy.
thank you. Let's set up our.